With Halloween and Child's Play coming back, everyone has their mind fixated on two other huge horror franchises, Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Today we're going to be focusing on Friday the 13th, but if you like this update video and you want to see one on A Nightmare on Elm Street, let me know by hitting the like button and commenting down below. With the 10th anniversary of Friday the 13th 09 happening last week, it's crazy to think about the fact that I haven't seen Jason on the big screen since I got kicked out of the movie theater 10 years ago and had to make my mom take me to see that remake. There's a few reasons for that obviously, but the biggest one is that there's currently a lawsuit between Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham pulling the franchise in two separate directions. To keep this brief, over 35 years ago, Sean Cunningham paid Victor Miller just $10,000 to write the script for the original Friday the 13th. Now it obviously went on to spawn a multi-million-dollar franchise, but that was all under Sean Cunningham's ownership. Now you'll probably be surprised to hear that writers get taken advantage of a lot in Hollywood, but thankfully for Miller, a law was put into place that allowed him, after 35 years, to take back the rights to Friday the 13th. The big stipulation here is that Miller had to give Sean Cunningham 2 years notice so they could sit down and figure out how the profits would be split for anything new that comes out in the future. Of course, Sean Cunningham didn't want to give up any of the money he would potentially make on the franchise, so he sued Victor Miller, and then he lost, which puts us in a weird situation right now where Victor Miller owns the rights to Friday the 13th in the United States and Sean Cunningham owns them internationally. The weirdest thing to me here though is that even though he doesn't own the names Pamela Voorhees, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, or Camp Crystal Lake, Sean Cunningham is totally prepared to die on the hill that he can make as many movies as he wants featuring a hockey mask wearing killer, even though again he can't call him Jason Voorhees because Pamela Voorhees was of course the killer in the first Friday the 13th, not Jason. Because of that weird fact, everyone kind of expected Sean Cunningham to air his grievances with Victor Miller, sit down and settle this whole thing out so we could get some more movies. Unfortunately though, he appealed and things kind of went dark until now. Everyone got excited this week when they saw that the appeal had been retracted, but then Larry Zerner, who starred in Friday the 13th Part 3 and then became a copyright lawyer in the entertainment industry, let everyone know that it was only retracted for technical reasons and that he'll probably appeal once again. Now my big hope here is that Sean Cunningham will sit down and sort of think about the fact that if he appeals, it'll likely be a very expensive 3 to 4 year legal process that he could lose again. But if he decides to figure things out with Victor Miller instead of going to court, he'll realize that yeah, he does have to give up some of the guaranteed millions of dollars he'll make on a new Friday the 13th movie, but he'll get to call the killer Jason Voorhees and use Camp Crystal Lake and Pamela Voorhees and the Friday the 13th name again, which I think is totally worth it. And there is some big interest in reviving Friday the 13th. One name that's floating around is LeBron James through Vertigo Entertainment, and while he is a huge fan of the franchise, there is a name I'd really like to take over it a lot more, and that's Blumhouse. Now I asked one of Blumhouse's producers, Ryan Turek, last summer what franchise he'd want to bring back next after Halloween, and he straight up told me Friday the 13th. If you listen to Shockwave's podcast or you read some of his written work over the years, you know that he's definitely one of the best producers you could have attached to this franchise. And I know people get scared when they hear Blumhouse because they don't like to spend money on movies, but Friday the 13th does not need to be expensive. You Might Be the Killer is honestly one of the best Friday the 13th movies that's ever come out in the past decade, and I think that one was made on a shoestring budget. As far as Gun Media goes, I think whether or not the lawsuit gets resolved, they're done making new content for Friday the 13th. They've got a new developer on it patching it, they moved it to Unreal Engine 4, and the game is finally mostly bug-free, and of course they are working on Layers of Fear 2 and other games, so it just doesn't really seem like a big possibility to me. There are also some rumors that they're working on a Halloween game, and while I would like to see the Uber Jason and Grendel map finally finished and added to the game, instead of DLC, I really would like them to just work on a full-on sequel. I think they learned a lot about game development while working on Friday the 13th, and they obviously have a lot more money now than they ever did back then, so just starting fresh and making a game that works from the start would really be in their best interest in my opinion. Regardless though, I think it's inevitable that we see a new Friday the 13th movie in the next few years. Losing money on lawyer fees and court costs is going to get less and less attractive to Sean Cunningham as time goes on, and when New Line decides that instead of giving The Couch and The Conjuring 2 that's over in the corner its own movie, they're going to reboot A Nightmare on Elm Street, he's going to feel pretty dumb about all the money he missed out on. Regardless though, let me know what you think of this video down in the comments below, and remember to subscribe and check out my Patreon page. Anyway guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.